And what is up, everyone? I am Joe DeHoyos. I am the host of Beyond the Woodline. Uh, Before we get into today's show, I just want to remind you guys if you have any strange encounters, whether it be cryptids, paranormal, um, UFO, alien kind of stuff, man, hit me up. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear about it, and I promise I won't think you're too crazy. I love this kind of stuff, man, and uh, if you listen to any of the shows, you'll know that already. Um, just shoot me an email. It's beyond.woodline@gmail.com. And man, I look forward to hearing from you guys. And like I said, man, I promise I won't think you're too crazy. And with that getting said, man, let's get on the road. Hi, Irene. Thanks for joining. She's in Japan actually, so we're glad you're here. I have a lot of she says I have a lot of paranormal stuff that I have experienced. Yeah, I know you have, and I'm gonna get you on the show. But anyway, tonight my guest is Brennan Daniels. How you doing, Brennan?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm glad you got power, and hope that ice storm doesn't last
Yeah,
too long over there.
yeah.
So so I found you on Facebook. I saw you were part of the North American Dogman project. And if
hmm
you would, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about the group and how you got involved with all of those guys? Because I talked to at least one guy I know for sure.
Okay. Well, I'm Benjamin Abbott. I'm the director of Region 5. That covers West Virginia, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Um, and we investigate the dogman phenomenon. Um, how I got into it was really not by choice. I didn't learn about Dogman by choice, and a couple of years ago, I got interested in what it was. I started researching, and a few weeks ago, I posted a picture of a Dogman on my property, and I started talking to the Region One director, Shane Michael Chris, Michael Crisp, and he put me in contact with the national director, and here I am.
Oh man, yeah. I know you sent me a couple of pictures. We'll get to those in a second. Were those on your property? The ones that you sent me?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
right, right. So you said you always had an interest in cryptids.
No, I have never had an interest in cryptids, honestly, until the last couple of years.
Oh yeah.
I Yeah, I started seeing them when in one place I started seeing cryptids. Well, Dogman, when I was somewhere between 12 and 14, and I didn't see it all the time, but whenever I would go back home to the house I grew up in, where I first saw them, between the time I was 12 and 18, I saw Dogman a couple of times and left home at 18, went to college. And sometimes when I would go back home, I would have sightings again. And they really picked up when my mother was dying of leukemia. When I moved back home to the house I inherited, started seeing them again. And I never really admitted to myself, much less another person, that what I was seeing until really recently. And I admitted to myself what I was seeing in late 2020. You know,
Oh wow.
I started seeing it so frequently that I just couldn't pretend that it wasn't happening anymore. And I've just set out to learn more about it.
So what was that process like when you were seeing them? Were you allowing
Mhm.
yourself to acknowledge what you were seeing, or did you just kind of like, I must not be seeing that?
I would see it and know what I saw, but I would always find a way to tell myself it was something else every single time. At that time, I did not have the capacity. I don't know if that would be. It's not really emotional. I wasn't willing to let my worldview be rocked, and
Right.
I resisted it for literally 30 years, more than 30 years after my first encounter.
And what is your experience like now when you see them, or how often do you see them now?
I haven't seen a Dogman since about August of 2022, but a couple of months after I moved in the house that I um, inherited, well, I'd met my wife or girlfriend at the time, and a couple of months, into the relationship, I moved in with her, and I'm not living in the same property I grew up in, so I'm not having to deal with that all the time. But I
Right.
have seen Dogman twice since I moved, and I've heard him or heard them more than once.
What did your wife think about it?
Well, my wife has never seen Dogman.
Right.
I moved in with her rather than the other way around. And first year we were together, really tell her, but I would.
Okay.
I was still researching it, and I was really embarrassed to admit it to her. In the
Right.
past year or so, I've gotten more. She knows about this now, obviously, but she believes that I believe it, and she doesn't think I'm crazy. Thank God, but she's still not convinced at all.
Right. Right. And that happens, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I have a girlfriend now who
Hmm.
believes in this stuff with me, so that makes it a lot better.
Hmm.
But I've definitely been with people
Oh
who,
yeah.
you know, who didn't believe it, who thought I was straight up crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I,
She's
yeah.
the only
So,
person I've ever told. Yeah. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. It, it's good to be in that kind of relationship, because
Hmm.
I've definitely been on the other end where I was just like basically told I was crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But she's coming along with me into the field, though.
yeah,
So yeah, it's good to have an unbiased observer present who's a skeptic,
right, right,
or
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. Um, yeah.
yeah.
So like my best friend, he doesn't believe in anything, and we like man, we've been best friends since we were I don't know 13 years old, and
Yeah.
so he kind of gives me a hard time, but he's the one guy that I go to when I have like a strange vocal or come across something weird in the woods,
Mhm.
I'll go to him because I know
Yeah.
that he's going to be absolutely honest with me,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, what is it yet that the Dogman Project does, the North American Dogman Project? What is it that you guys actually do or trying to do?
Okay. We're just studying the phenomena. It's a we're the one of the largest research teams in the world. Um, we collect data. We have a data report we receive, and we do field investigations when we get information. And we also, provide a lot of material to the public in terms of education and awareness regarding the phenomenon. And if you go to our website, you'll see some really clear pictures and you will read some really interesting encounters.
Mm.
Uh, and also, there's an important link on there on how to contact us or how to report a sighting.
Okay. Well, if you want to, why don't you
Yeah.
give out that information right now and let people know how they can contact the group and or contact you?
Okay. You can contact me at. Well, I don't email myself, so let me see what my email is. Oh yeah, Brennan at gmail.org. I'll be glad you will hear back from me, and there will be follow up. If you want to report it directly to us, go to North American Dogman Project.net. I'm sorry, .com. I'm so sorry. And there's a way there you can report your encounter.
It's all one word, North
Any one of
American
our
Dogman
researchers
Project.
will be really happy. Yes. .com.
Okay. I'll put that in the comments. You're gonna have to probably give me your email again later on because you broke up when you said that email.
Okay. I can give it to you. It's Brennan, BRENNAN at gmail.com.
AD what? Is Brennan AD what?
At gmail.com. Gmail.com. Oh, NADP. Yeah, I'm sorry. Brennan, NADP at gmail.com.
Okay, I got you. I'll put that in the comments too.
Yeah.
Cool beans. Yeah. So, what are some of the, if you want to, if you're able to share a fascinating story that you've heard that kind of resonates with you, or maybe something that you think about a lot?
I think about all the stories. I'm sorry, right now I'm trying to dial my memory up. Think of stories I can know about and confidentiality or not. We get reports all the time from really credible witnesses, from police officers, from housewives to guys working construction. I mean,
Right.
every walk of life experienced this. Yeah, it's personally experienced it multiple times. And when you have an encounter like this, there's a lot of fear of public ridicule that comes with it. Sanity for a long time, and that's not unusual.
Right.
And a lot of people just don't have the capacity to accept what they've seen because there is no frame of reference for what you're seeing.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Jacob Gomez?
I am not. I'm not familiar with Jacob.
It was here in Texas, um,
Mm-hmm.
up around Waco, I believe, or just outside of Waco. They pulled. They saw one of these things dead on. What, I don't know if it was dead or not, but it was laying on the side of the road, and it had blood coming out of its
Uh-huh.
mouth. And they rolled up right next to it, and they were like in a 350 crew cab, and this thing was just as long as a truck. You know,
Okay.
um, they were on their way to they were on their way to a construction job. That's what he did for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And his boss was like, "Man,
Right.
let's put it in the back of the truck." He's like, "Man, I'm not getting out and getting this damn thing, you know."
Hell
And
no.
he says we
Yeah.
got to go to work. He says we'll come back, and if it's here, then we'll load it up. Well, when they came back, it was gone. It was gone. The blood was gone. Everything was cleaned up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of those weird stories, that I think about from time to time. I just
Oh
wonder what
yeah.
happened to it and where did it go. And
Yeah.
yeah,
That's one that,
we
yeah, I could speculate, but
yeah, yeah, definitely a lot of speculation in that story. I guess from almost every angle too, for that matter.
yeah. Oh yeah. 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 I would be, I really don't know how I would react. I mean, obviously, a computer or go
Right.
through my list, but that would be mainly because I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. Um, were I not involved with the North American Dogman project, I really don't know what I would do. Um,
Yeah.
I would like to think I would do whatever the right thing is, but I might just back away,
Yeah, because he didn't
just
know if he
act
was
like I
still
hadn't
alive or
seen.
not. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I
He didn't know
would.
if he was.
I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. Yeah. And this like right before cell phones became popular, so I don't think he had a cell phone on him
Right.
anyway to take a picture. But this was quite a while back. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. But ever since that particular incident, so we go out in the
Hmm.
woods now. Man, he's like armed to the teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't play around when he goes out there.
Yeah. I came. I was really close to a dog man one time, but I was carrying a 410 shotgun, and I was maybe 13 or 14. I was somewhere between 12 and 14, so I didn't move. That encounter was over, but there is no way I would have shot at that thing with a 410 if it had gotten in my face, because nothing like that would take it down. You would
Yeah,
need something a lot more powerful than that. Yeah,
right. Yeah, let's look at these
a
pictures real
410
quick.
shotgun. Yeah.
So here's this one.
Hmm.
You want to give us some backstory to this one?
Sure. My dad was an avid used to hunt on his own property, and he would tell people all kinds of things, and they I thought that hunters were not supposed to hunt on their own property, because my dad always said that wild animals on your own property are like pets. What it really was is he didn't want to go in the woods behind our house. And
Huh.
a couple of years, no, this was, yeah, a couple of years ago, uh, a family friend was coming around and he asked me why I didn't hunt on my own property. And I told him we just don't. We just don't. I didn't tell him why not, for obvious reasons. But about a year ago, my uncle lives in that house now. He went by my house to feed my uncle's dogs and do a few errands, not do a few favors for us because my uncle wasn't there. And I don't live in, saw it and took the picture and got out. And I saw that a year ago. I sent it to a friend of mine who's a field investigator, Ricardo Sanchez, and Dan Nedrello. Both of those guys have been researching cryptids for a long time, and for whatever reason, I just didn't think a lot about it at the time. And a little while back, I started going through my phone, and there was those pictures. It was almost like I tried not to take them. Didn't I mean tried not to look at them, and I started looking again, and I cropped them out a little bit, put them online, and yeah, uh, lots of people I sent them to a year after the fact knew what it was immediately, just like I did. But that picture was taken. I'm sorry, I'm getting long winded, but to your question, that picture was taken about a little over a year ago.
No, man, you're good. Keep talking as much as you want. Okay.
Okay. And
And
oh, that tree, that yeah, a week or two ago, a friend of mine and I were hiking. That tree has been at my line for literally hundreds of years, and it's been there since I was a little kid, and I never paid attention to it. Well, my friend the other day was hiking on my property, and he knew what it was immediately. It's a tribal marker tree that
huh.
Indians across North. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, 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 no. I was just saying, oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, Indians across North America used to do things to make trees curve like that, and they would do it, if it was a good hunting ground or if, to mark something. It didn't have to be good hunting ground. It could be literally anything. But they put those trees up to mark places of importance. And that thing has been on my property forever. And given that I grew up there and I saw it every day, I just never thought anything about it. And a couple of weeks after my family friend took that picture, another friend was hiking on the property with me and took that picture. And I took that picture, but a friend of mine hiking on my property saw it. And I am just amazed by it. It actually explains, well, it could possibly explain some of the encounters I've had on my own property
Yeah.
by that tree.
Mhm. That's pretty impressive. Have you ever found any prints on your property?
Believe it or not overtly. Um, Seriously, I mean, there's just been, I mean, not intentionally until pretty recently, but yes, I've seen tracks off and on my property since I can remember. But given that they were always there, I just never really thought anything about it. Um, the last time I went to my house was, when my friend noticed that tree. He and I were walking around back, and we saw a couple of places where we could tell a dog man had stepped, but it wasn't like in mud or anything like that where I could take a cast. It was just mainly like leaves and stuff where you could tell a really large animal had. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
mean, they weren't. Yeah, they weren't prints in the ground, but you could tell that because they seem to avoid the really muddy places where they can take really good prints. But yeah,
Yeah. We found like quite a bit of prints in the Sam Houston. Uh,
hmm
not really anything defined, but definitely something from
right,
like a big animal. And like you
yeah,
said, this in places where people don't walk and places where it's
hmm
a person's not going to leave a print or
yeah,
an impression really.
no,
Uh, yeah.
no,
And we've been in spots where it was like so hard, the ground is so hard, but you can
hmm
still see an outline of a big print. And
yeah,
yeah, so man, it just like I wish they made some kind of casting material for that kind of stuff, because we find a lot
they
of that,
do
especially like
actually.
really. Oh, really?
Well, not a material, just a material for that, but
Mhm.
yes, there's instructions for casting, and We're our organization is about to start doing videos explaining to people how to take a cast.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I've done some casting. It's always come out pretty good. I can't. I think I do a pretty good job. Um,
yeah.
but some of these prints, like I said, man, it's just very, very shallow. Maybe I need to uh, see what you guys think about taking a shallow cast. That might help me out. I just don't know how to do that. Yeah. So, where's some of your favorite spots that you've gone looking for Dogman or gone to investigate even?
My own property is one. Um, Another place nearby. I live an hour south of LBL,
Okay.
and as you know, LBL is flooded with reports of dogmen and has been for some time. Um, the first reports of dogman out of LBL came. Well, I know of a few from the 1880s. There probably were before that even. But I'm thinking of one particular account I read about in 1887 with some people who'd been there for a while.
Hmm.
Um, Another area is a place in Carroll County called Kings Levee. It's not a place you'll find on a map, but if you Google Kings Levee, there will come up in court records about it because it's a really isolated place, and unfortunately, people tend to do nefarious things in places where no one's around
Right.
or in places that are really isolated. But Kings Levee is another good spot. Wait, I'm sorry, sir.
No, no, no. Yeah.
I'm
I,
sorry, Joel.
yeah.
Yeah.
I said yeah when you said people didn't tend to do some crazy shit out there. I was like, yeah,
Oh
you're
yeah,
right.
yeah. If somebody out there is bored now, just Google Tennessee, Carroll County, and Kings Levee. And all kinds of crazy stuff will come up in the Tennessee Criminal Court of Appeals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Again,
yeah,
you're not going to find it even on Google. You're not going to find it on Google, but everybody in that county knows where it is.
that's good. Yeah. Oh, having some technical difficulties here. Um,
I understand with the weather the way it is.
yeah. I was trying to upload a picture for you to check out, and now it won't let me do it.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see what happens here. Uh, well, anyway, we'll just see what happens. Okay. Yeah. So, we talked about a little bit about witnesses early on, and
Mhm.
people who like, I guess, like have trouble, I guess, either accepting what they're seeing or even telling what they're seeing. Uh, what advice do
Right.
you have for a witness who's maybe having issues, from a mental standpoint? What advice do
Right.
you give those people?
Honestly, and this seems like a cop out, but I promise you it's not. Somebody starts telling me all that and how they're having trouble with that. I just tell them my own story and I let them know that I understand. I get it. I went 30 years between my first encounter and the encounter that prompted me to really admit what I was seeing. So I get it completely. Um, some people who see cryptids, I'm not saying well, there are people out there who have PTSD from an encounter with a cryptid,
Right.
but it's not exactly PTSD, but it's really similar in terms of how to deal with it. For me, it was never about what I was seeing per se. It was because I had to then make sense out of it and ask myself some questions that I really didn't want to ask. like where they came from, because that's a complicated question. Um, it made me start to question other things, and I get it. It's really hard to deal with that change in worldview and that encounter. Um, I would encourage people who had trouble with accepting what they've seen to treat it like you would trauma from any other kind of event, because someone listening to this who hasn't seen a dogman or a Sasquatch might think I'm crazy that just seeing that can cause a person that many problems. You really had to have, that's something that has to have happened to you, I think, for a person to be able to understand that.
Yeah.
Treat it like you would trauma from anything else, like if it was a divorce or a car wreck or whatever it is,
Mhm.
because it's really not that different.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you find that too, and in the Bigfoot world, where I'm sure you've heard of people having traumatic experiences, and
yeah,
I don't think unless you've talked to someone who's been that in that situation or have had that situation
right.
yourself, uh, it's it's the weirdest thing to look at a person and to see the fear and to see how it takes over their life.
Yeah,
It's just so weird, and to think that a Bigfoot or a Dogman is behind it, you know, uh,
yeah. I mean that
I mean,
that sounds so. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was gonna say if for people who don't believe
Yeah.
in that stuff, these people
Yes.
have no
Yes.
outlet. You know,
No.
yeah,
And that is, like as you were saying, that is so hard for people to understand, that seeing a cryptid can be that traumatic, because I've heard skeptics say, "Oh, I'd love for there to be a Bigfoot. I just don't believe it." Do you really? Because then it opens up a Pandora's box of all kinds of things that you're not that aren't comfortable to think about. I never believed in UFOs or any of that before I finally admitted what I was seeing. I didn't
well,
want to think there was a dog man or a Sasquatch. I wanted to believe that everything I'd been told was exactly true.
yeah,
Um, I wanted my universe and worldview to be in more black and white.
right, yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
absolutely serious.
What about
Hey, Joe,
newbies? People who
go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
no, no, no. What were you gonna say?
No, no, I want your question, please. What I
Okay,
was about to say, I promise you, was not important. I'm just telling you, I'm loosening up a little bit. You're doing good, so go ahead.
okay, okay. No, I was gonna say, what
Yeah,
advice do you have, like, to newbies who want to start investigating, especially for someone who's never investigated any kind of cryptid, and especially like a dog man, but they might
yeah.
believe in it and they want to go out and they want to start looking for these creatures. What advice would you have for them?
I would really, really advise them to be careful what you wish for, because it might happen. That's exactly what I would tell somebody. I would really encourage them to look at their own motives and see if that's something they really want to do, because you'll never see the world again the same way after seeing a dog man as you saw it just before that. I would just really encourage somebody to make sure that's what they want to do, because I can say with 100% full certainty, I didn't want to see Dog Man. Um, if I could take a pill tonight to forget about it, I'm just saying, if
Mhm.
that's something you want to do, research cryptids, make sure it's something you want to do, because I promise you, you will not see the world the same way you did before.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah. I definitely agree with
go
you.
ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah,
I was just
because
saying I
Joe,
agree.
yeah, totally. Because that wasn't in my plans. I did everything the way that you're supposed to do. I work in an office. I have a white collar professional job. Um, Graduated from college. I went to graduate school. Um, I have a wife. I have two children. Um, I live a pretty conventional life, and it would be much easier for me if I didn't know what I saw and if I didn't believe in Bigfoot or Dogman. But unfortunately, I know with absolute man exists, and I wish I didn't. I can honestly say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same way you do.
Hmm.
It, there's two ways people handle it. They either run from it or they run into it. They just got to have those answers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it ran into me, and I tried to run from it, but it kept catching up with me, and
yeah,
I was a non-believer until I wasn't.
right.
Yeah. And some people don't understand that at all. They ask me, how in the world could you see Dogman and then still not believe it? Well,
Right.
people don't have mental constructs for that. There's nowhere in your brain you've got any kind of mental construct. If you see something in front of you like a Dogman, um, and people also say if you see something really significant, you don't forget about it. And while that's true, you bury it away in your brain somewhere where you don't have to deal with it. And in my case, every time I saw Dogman, my memory got triggered. And yeah, there are a lot of people walking around out there who've had Dogman experiences similar to mine. It's just that mine were so frequent in nature that I couldn't keep acting like I didn't see it. And I bet most people or Sasquatch one time found a way to convince themselves they didn't see it.
Yep.
I would,
Yeah.
yeah, because I did it numerous times before I didn't anymore.
What is your end game? What are you hoping to accomplish in this field?
Uh, that is an interesting question. And I've pondered that question a lot of times. Like,
Mhm.
what's my motivation for doing it? And that's pretty perceptive of you and I'm not just sucking up to you now. I'm serious. That's pretty perceptive because my end game is that I want to know where and I doubt I'll ever know these things, but I can try. I would like to know where they came from, how they got here, uh, and the impact of that. Um, and, I just want to know. And again, that was the reason I never wanted to know about Dogman in the first place is I want to know everything. And the world is a lot more simple. But unfortunately, I can't do that anymore. So I want to know everything. That's my
Yeah,
end game. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah, yeah. That's a good answer. I find myself asking myself that question all the time too. And
Mhm.
I don't know if I know the answer. I just know I like doing this and I like
Right.
going out, and I don't know if I want to prove the species necessarily, or I just want
Hmm.
to prove it to myself and prove it to a select few group of people.
Yeah.
I I don't know, what if any good would come out of it. And that's
Yeah.
the one thing that worries me. Um, what do
Yeah.
you think
Because,
about that with Dogman? Dogman and Bigfoot are to me there are two separate camps, even though they're both
yeah.
cryptids. But
Right.
do you think that if Dogmen were proven, you think there would be this huge, I don't know, hunting parties going out looking for them?
I worry about that a lot. Uh,
Right.
human beings are one species of ape, basically. I really worry about one really one primate that's really intelligent going after another primate. I really worry that that could happen. And given that we won't know the number of Sasquatches, even if they are proven, it's kind of hard to get them protected under the Endangered Species Act because, like with bison, they could say before they put a stop to the needless killing of bison that there were only like 300 left in the country. We would never know. It would be, given everything we know now, it would be impossible under our current system to know how many Sasquatches or dogmen there are out there. It would be impossible.
Yeah.
Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum has said that there's probably, people have made all kinds of estimations on how many Sasquatches are out there, but with dogmen, there's no estimation that I know of as to how many members of the species there are. Yeah, so I worry about just what you're talking about, that people would go out looking for Bigfoot. And human beings don't have a very good track record of coexisting with each other,
Right.
even with little small superficial differences, like in Ireland, they both follow Christianity. They're pretty much the same, speak the same language. One are Catholics, one are Protestants, and they still hurt each other. People with bigger differences than that do it. And Homo sapiens' own track record of dealing with other species is really bad. So, yes, I absolutely fear that if Sasquatch were proven, one primate would be out in the woods looking for another one that's just wanting to be left alone.
Right. And I think that's true with most animals that they
So,
just
yeah, I
want to
do.
be left alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to ask you, and
Mhm.
you talked about Christianity. It seems like
Mhm.
there's a lot of uh, how would you say it? Like there's like a religious angle more so with Dogman than there is Bigfoot. Do you find that to be true?
Uh, Personally, no. I think that, Dogman, I look at Dogman and Sasquatch completely through lenses that are secular and non religious. I don't ascribe any religious significance to Dogman or Sasquatch, but yeah, it does bother me when I see people, and it's not like it bothers me as like I think there's something wrong with them. It I don't like it when Dogman is referred to as demonic.
Right.
And if you go to Google or any search engine and you put in Dogman in the search bar, demonic or demon will probably be one of the first 10 suggested searches that come up. So, yeah, Joe, I know exactly what you're saying, and I don't ascribe any religious significance to either to Dogman at all. If other people do, that's their business, but no, I do not. Absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't either. I'm just always curious of what
No.
other people think, and
Yeah.
I mean, during this encounter, I mean, I guess you're gonna find God pretty quick.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess it wouldn't be that. I don't. That's another thing is none of my encounters have ever been really intense at all for violence. So I've never been, believe it or not, really afraid in any encounter. I might be now since I'm actively looking for Dogman. And since I do have a mental construct for Dogman now, I would probably be in a little more fear if I saw a Dogman tonight than I was, say, 10 years ago. But the fact none of my encounters have been that intense or made me personally feel afraid is I, my encounters have been milder compared to a lot of people's, you know. But
You know,
I've
here in
never
Texas,
personally. Go ahead, Joe.
no, I was say, here in Texas, it was like in the late 1800s, like 1890s, I want to
Yeah.
say. Uh, there's a place outside of San Antonio. It's called Converse, Texas. And
Hmm.
I used to live like right next to it. It was I used to live in a place called Universal
Right.
City. But in Converse, Texas, I
Hmm.
found out that they had their own like legend, and it was called the Converse
Yeah.
Werewolf. Yeah, and
Hmm.
that was from a farmer who sent his son out fish to go hunting. The son came back. It was like, hey, there's a monster out there, and he's like, no, you got to get out there and hunt. You know, his son
Yeah.
never comes back, and his he gathers up some friends to go look for his son. And when they
Yeah.
find his son, and his son was being eaten by this creature, and they shot at it, but it took off.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's called yeah, that's called a Converse werewolf. And I
Yeah.
was found that fascinating.
Yeah. And when stories like that are told, I can understand why people kind of look at Dogman from almost a religious angle, where that thing's evil. Typically, go around attacking people. I mean, you corner one, it'll
Right.
happen, but or if you threaten one, it'll happen. But as a rule, it just generally doesn't happen. And I don't. And yeah, when people have had encounters like that, you're going to hear more about them. It's like with anything else, that sells more than you know. But yeah, that's a pretty horrible encounter. Um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. Yeah. What do you think about well, you know, Dogman and Bigfoot for that matter, not being
Hmm.
recognized, by whether it be the scientific community or the government for that matter. And I don't like getting into conspiracy theories too much,
No,
but
I get that. Yeah, yeah. What do I think about them not being recognized? Um, well, I don't know if that's because they're evasive or if that's something a little deeper. And
right,
I, I, I don't really believe per se that, because there's no way that every fish and game official or police officer or street officer in the country could know about it and I'll keep it quiet.
right,
But that's um, that's about as far as I'll go with that.
yeah,
But yeah, it I don't know. I guess would be my answer, if it's because it's just so evasive or if it's something deeper. I really don't know.
yeah. It's either something deeper or like they just don't even care about it. Like they just don't have time for it. So it's somewhere in between all that. I think.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's probably yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Joe.
No, I was just gonna say sometimes when I look at it, I'm like, does the government even care that they're out there? They might not be like, you know what, we ain't got time for that. We've got bigger fish to fry. You know.
Yeah,
So, but although you probably heard stories too of the men in black showing up and saying that's not what you saw. So
yeah,
so
yeah. Uh, I don't know.
yeah,
That's I do think though that if those and, everybody's heard those stories about that
yeah,
happening.
right.
Um,
And
I
I know people that have had phone calls. Yeah,
yeah,
people that I know personally have
yeah,
had phone calls saying shut up. But
yeah,
also, there's just so many witnesses that why hasn't it happened to everybody?
yeah. Yeah, I really don't know. I think that might have to do with how deep you got into with it. You know, that
Yeah,
that would probably be a factor. Beyond that, I really don't know, because to your point, not everybody seems to get them. And I don't know. There might be an algorithm out there somewhere that if this happened or such and such happened, will show up. I really have no idea. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would
yeah,
yeah that would be just speculation on my part.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're probably right about that. Yeah, yeah. If this is a situation and circumstances, they get a phone call. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I can't make any other sense out of it, but yeah, in that instance, we would be dealing with government. So not a lot they do makes a lot of sense. So why should that? Yeah, I think what we're doing now is we're trying to apply a logic to something that doesn't make sense at all. Kind of like when, yeah, we're trying to make sense out of something that where logic just doesn't seem to apply. But
mhm,
I, yeah, I think any guess on that's pretty much equally valid.
yeah. Well, cool beans, man. We're coming up on our hour, man.
Okay.
I want to ask you, do you have any information again that you want to pass out to the people, whether it be how to contact you again, and maybe
Yeah.
your Facebook pages? I don't know if you got. I don't know if you have a YouTube channel or not, but
Yes.
give out
We
whatever you
did.
want to give out.
We have Facebook pages. We have a YouTube channel. And one thing I wanted to note though is that my email account is Brennan NADP at gmail.com. I'm sorry, it kept shorting out when we would try to um
Right.
yeah, sorry about
I'll fix
that.
that.
Brennan,
I'll fix that.
yeah, Brennan NADP at gmail.com. And we have 5 regions, and our presence on Facebook is something we're building right now. And just look North American Dogman Project, and you will find our page. Go to YouTube. You will see some really good material about Dogman on our YouTube channel. And by all means, if you've had an encounter, please report it to us. I mean, right now I'm sitting on a report that I took from a former law enforcement official. Wishing I could talk about it when you asked me that question. That I'm about when I'm about to submit to our national director. So definitely get in touch with us.
Yeah, that sounds
And
good.
I'm sorry if some of the questions I've seen to occur. It's just I've only been at this a few weeks now, being the regional director, and I don't want to say something that will get me in trouble. So a
Ah,
little
nah, man, you're good.
yeah
You're good.
yeah
You
a
did
little bit of
great.
hesitancy there. Um,
Yeah.
cool man. Yeah, you got my number. Text, Gmail account. Encourage people to contact us with their encounters, and
Yeah.
um, everything we do is confidential. We don't give up any information about the people who report their encounters to us.
That's cool. Yeah, and dude, if I hear anything,
Please
regarding
do.
Dogman, yeah, man,
Yeah.
I'll shoot you an email. I got your number now, so man, feel free
Mhm.
to reach out to me anytime you want to, and if I can help you in any way, I will. You have anything you want me to share, tag me in it, I'll share it or share it to my group, whatever you want. Feel free to do that, man.
Okay, Joe, I really appreciate it. All right, thanks a lot, Joe.
Yeah, man. Thank you too, man. I appreciate it. Okay, you
All
have a
right,
good night, guys.
you too, sir. Bye.